We are live.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Multifamily Her. Today we have a really special guest, Adele Dig, and we are excited to bring her on. Before that, we want to just let you know that we do have our YouTube channel. So if you missed this, if you're wanting to catch some of our other episodes, then you can go to Multifamily Her on YouTube. And all of our previous episodes are there.
Make sure you subscribe to the Multifamily Her channel on YouTube. Yeah.
If you are watching this from YouTube.
Yeah. So super excited to be talking to Adele today. Adele has been in real estate for quite some time now, and she has a ton of experience. She has a very diversified portfolio across Canada, and now she recently entered the US market with short-term rental luxury homes near Disney. So it will be interesting and exciting to talk about that. And I know real estate is Adele's passion, so we're super excited to interview her, and we'll just bring her on right now. Hi, Adele.
Hi, ladies. How are you? Nice to see you both.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, Adele. I've been watching your real estate investing journey for some time, and I must say, you're very inspirational, and the things that you're doing, and you're just very, giving with your time and advice, and just very approachable. So I wanted to thank you, and
you're very kind. Thank you.
Yeah, people can watch this video and learn a ton from you.
I hope so. It'd be nice to help someone out, eh?
So should we start with, do you want to tell us about your story, how you started investing in real estate?
Sure. And I'm sure people have heard me speak about it enough. But I started very young, actually. In my early 20s, the first property I purchased was a triplex. And I quickly realized that, okay, I could have a roof over my head and it doesn't cost me anything out of my pocket. I think at the time we were paying maybe not even the taxes, so it was a wonderful thing. And then from there, I just did what I often refer to, use my properties at ATMs, because I refinance and purchase more. And that one, actually, I had sold it, but then soon after I bought a duplex, and then I just grew from there, purchasing larger ones. But I dipped my feet in the multifamily with the smaller kind of multifamily in my early 20s, and just went from there. Like, it just seemed like a natural progression.
Yeah. That's amazing. It sounds like you were fearless and you just went for it. Did you get any education done?
That's the advantage of being young. You don't think too much, it's just, and it was where we lived as growing up, I think in my teens, my teens. The neighbors across the street where my parents lived, one side of the street was cottages, which was where we lived, but the other side was duplexes. And the family friends, they had a duplex, and I would tell my parents, they don't pay for anything. They live for free. The tenants are paying for their mortgage and their expenses. And that always stuck with me. These were the conversations we'd have, out in the street in the summertime when the neighbors got together. And that's really what started it. It always stuck in my head because my mother wanted to buy a secondary income property. They didn't have one. She wanted one as a secondary as an income property, and they never did. They never did buy it. So
they vicariously invest in real estate through you then.
That's exactly. Yeah, my mom does private lending now.
Oh, was it your influence?
Yeah. That's awesome that you got that introduction through your family.
Yeah,
because so many people don't have that, right? And they just go through.
Well, it was because they didn't, right? That I did. Because my mother would always say, well, look what they're building, their retirement, right? And my parents are immigrants, so they played it safe, and they didn't. And my dad really didn't want to, again, because he thought, tenants were trouble. So he's like, no, I don't want to come back after day's work and deal with tenants. Mm-hmm. And so because they never did, and my mother was always a little bit regretful of that. Mm-hmm. So then I did when I had the chance. And don't forget, in the 1990s, early 90s, this was 91, the properties weren't priced the way they are now, right? So buying a triplex was affordable. like
It had its own challenges, though, correct? If
the interest rates.
correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, the interest rates were.
Yes, it's different.
How
It was
much were interest rates at
I
that
was
time?
we were having this conversation the other day. I find the 5 and 6 we're paying now is still cheap, very, very cheap. So I've
Because
paid
you have experience
up to
with
9 or like high 8s. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been
I've
through
heard some people
few
paying
different
even more
cycles.
than that.
Oh, my parents paid 24 on their home in 1984. Yeah.
Wow. 24% interest.
24%.
Wow.
84. Yep.
Yeah. And then how long did it take them to pay it off?
Oh, but don't forget the house. Then they bought it in 79, and it was like $42,000. Right? They paid it off in 5 years because they're crazy immigrants. We can't have debt. We have to pay off our home. And I'm like, no, how about you use the equity and buy more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that interest rate, you kind of want to pay it off.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And what are so that's interesting that those the type of conversations that, or remarks that you've been hearing from your mom growing up. What kind of conversations are you having with your children? Because I think you have 2, correct? Is it 2 girls?
We have 4 actually, but
You have
they're
4 kids.
adults now. They're adults. I mean, they're from 28 to 31, right? They're twins in there. The twins are the babies. But I mean, they all have wonderful careers, and so I keep asking them, which of you is going to take over the business, the real estate business? And they're like, later, like they're new in their careers, and so they want to do what they studied, and then eventually later on. The conversations is funny because I asked my daughter who was here just before I came on, and I'm like, so what did I teach you about real estate? And she just says equity. and so I actually asked if I should sell the duplex here in Montreal that I bought in 1999, I think. And she says, why don't you use that as equities to buy other property, as equity and down payment to buy other property? And that's absolutely right. I've refinanced that one a couple of times. So they know that you can, leverage one property to buy more, and you could use it to scale, and that, it builds your net worth, and it builds, you can just continue buying. And I know there's OPM, but OPM wasn't a thing in the 90s or there was no mentor telling you to use OPM.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, just in awe, because right now we have so many resources, so many groups, so many networks that you can go to and take a course, read a book, go on YouTube, right? And in 90s, I don't even know what was there.
Nothing. It was trial and error. And I think that's why I'm not frazzled very much when stuff goes bad, or, things go wrong, or, you get to almost the finish line with a property and then things go bad and you don't end up closing. It's because I had to learn as it was, the experience was teaching you. It's learn as you go. It's in learning on the job, or, there was no mentorship program. There was no Audible or book. I'm sure there were books. I'm sure there were books, but I wasn't reading them. I didn't think even to read a real estate book. It was you. And that's one thing I want to teach the kids. And I think schools should teach kids what is a mortgage.
Yeah,
what do you do with a mortgage? How do you budget your household? I think that's lacking in the school system. Honestly, that needs to be
100%. Yes,
it needs to be part of the curriculum. Like you with young children, you young ladies with young children, speak to your schools, tell them to change the.
I think
absolutely agree with. Yeah, it's
like
it's not in there.
I had home ec, right? So they taught us how to bake and sew, and I did take mechanics, so I learned how to change tires too. But instead of baking and sewing, which obviously cooking, everybody should know how to feed themselves. But how about mortgages? Besides the accounting courses, not that. I mean, like beyond that,
like budgeting and all those, like the basics of.
You should know how to feed yourself and how to budget.
Yeah. It's funny. I think my kids have heard me talk about real estate investing so much that my 6-year-old keeps saying, "When am I gonna do real estate investing with you, mommy?"
That's fantastic, and take them with you everywhere.
Yeah. So he's eager to learn, and I'm happy to hear that. At least when he's 6, he wants to learn.
Yeah, he'll probably lose interest when he's a teenager, but then as a young adult, he'll probably come back in. It'll come and go.
Yeah.
You just can't force it.
No, right? Yeah, that's the thing. Like, make it seem like it's their idea and it's fun. And
but this is just life. Just like they, if you go to work, they see you going to work, right? Just let them see you do real estate. That's all.
Yeah, lead by example. Adele, I wanted to ask you, I know you, like I've heard your interviews before with other investors, and you enjoy your job, like you enjoy your career. Oh, Anna says that, so true. Schools need to teach that. Yes.
Anna, I actually met Anna in person last month.
Nice. I whiteboard now. Mortgage works from how
Good for you, Anna.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
that's amazing. I think that's the advantage of being in real estate investing, is that you can actually teach the children what to do, and that's like one of my whys too, is to teach the kids. But anyhow, the
My
question
job,
is,
yes. I'm one of those weirdos who likes her job. Yes.
yeah, you like your job and it's awesome. And I wanted to ask you, is there like one lesson that your current job has taught you that you think everybody should learn at some point in their life?
I'm in pharma, so I don't want to get technical in pharma, but general for others, probably the nitty-gritty of reading a contract thoroughly, like thoroughly, and making sure that, because contracts are not meant for when we're all in love with each other, right? Contracts are meant for when things go bad. That's the whole point of a contract, right? So when there's a dispute, when there's a disagreement, when we're breaking up, or whichever kind of a contract it is, whether it's a supplier or an investor, or it doesn't matter what. So really making sure, because the devil's in the details. So going through contracts, and I'm my nickname is actually Hawkeyes. I catch all these things in contracts, so I'm just wired that way. And yes, properly doing a contract and drafting it, where keeping in mind, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? And even in real estate, right? If you have JVs, well, what happens if the person you have a JV with, like my husband, for example, is not interested in real estate at all. Like has no clue what's going on. We don't have JVs, but I mean, if knock on wood, if I passed away, what would happen? Because the other partner is not involved. What does that look like? So, really writing the contracts to take as many scenarios into account as you can think of. I mean, lawyers should help you with this, of course. Just to plan for a not so good day.
Yeah.
Have a plan always. Have an exit strategy always.
Be ready, right?
Yeah. I always say it's kind of like a prenup agreement. It's not, like when things are going well, like the process is to sit down and talk about it, and but it's for when things don't go well and you can't speak to each other anymore, and you figure out, you want to have all those things in place, that legal agreement there.
Exactly, because it's not in the bad moments that you want to be thinking up the plan B and C, right? That should be in place before.
Yeah. So that leads me, like when you're looking at properties, I know you have a very analytical mind and you're really good with numbers, like numbers.
I love them.
Yeah. So what are you looking for when you're analyzing a market, a property? Like, what is it that you're looking for?
It has to
know it's a good investment.
Yeah, like analyzing the property. It has to make money on day one, right off the bat. It's like if you were buying in the end, you are buying a business, right? The property, you got to look at each property as a business. And would you buy a business that's losing money? I mean, you wouldn't buy a shoe store that's not making any money, or a clothing store, or any other, right? I don't buy buildings that are not making money on day one, right? Because it has to sustain itself. There's no money coming out of my pocket to support that building. It has to support itself. And I'm not talking about just the mortgage payments. I'm talking about repairs and maintenance, right? To have a little reserve for repairs and maintenance, property management, all the expenses and taxes and utilities and all that, everything, and have cash flow that you can put aside some money for a rainy day, because there are rainy days in multifamily, plenty of them, like a surprise $100,000 roof on our 24 unit, so things happen.
Yeah.
Things happen in life, things happen in real estate, so again, that's me. Maybe other people will argue with me. I know people that would say, oh, but if it's $100 out of my pocket, eventually it's going to grow, like increase in value, and I'll be fine. Well, what if you bought it last year and now you're refinancing now? Did it increase in value with what's happening now? So now you've been negative cash flow, and it's probably not going to appraise as high as you thought it would. So now you're in trouble in two different ways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just think if you're wanting to grow, right, you maybe can do that for one or two property. You're putting a bit into the property every month, but how can you grow when you're buying all these properties that are negative cash flow?
And you could do that if it's a small one. Like if it's a small residential duplex or even a triplex, you can't do that on a 12 or 24 or an 18 or anything like that.
No.
It's just, it doesn't make financial sense.
You know, Adele, so a strategy, like some people hate the term BRRRR for multifamily, but when you buy a value add older multifamily building and then you plan to naturally increase rates or rental rates or with renovation, all of that, I don't know if that type of strategy, would you be looking at that? Do you usually add value to your buildings?
For example, I've never done cash for keys. I've never done that kind of stuff. But the properties have all been very different. And again, every property that was chosen and closed on was because it cash flowed right off the bat.
Right away.
Yes. So I didn't need to do anything. Because again, I'm at work every day, right? I'm not putting in 40, 50 hours a week. Well, I guess I am in the evenings and weekends. I shouldn't say that because I actually do. I don't have 8 to 5 to put into real estate. So it's my evenings, it's my weekends. We have done a BRRRR. I guess in the end, it's again, BRRRR is so vast, right? There's so many levels. Is it complete gut or is it renovating or like lipstick renovations? Are we talking about what is it called? The tub surround and kitchen counters, or are we talking about really gutting the place and they're all BRRRRs, right?
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
Completely.
Different
So we
level.
don't really, I've never purchased a completely run down building where I had to throw a bunch of money in it. We're renovating our 24 unit right now. And again, it's not a gut job. It needs it. Do they all need it? No, not all units are in the same condition. So we're obviously tackling the ones that are that need it. You know, they're tired.
Is it a bit turnover or like when
the tenants
move out to renovate?
Horrible situation. We got bed bugs at that unit. Oh my God, guys, bed bugs in a 24 unit.
Yeah.
I wish it upon no one. It's a horrible, horrible situation.
Did you have to get people out of there, or there's still tenants?
Well, people left, right? So, and the treatments were, this is a whole other thing we learned. I mean, it doesn't matter how many years you're investing. I've been investing for over 30 years. Never had a bed bug situation. This was the first time. And again, learning experience. We had a canine unit come in. Like it was the building is massive. So trying to pinpoint where they're coming from so they don't start again and again. Like you're fighting a fight that seems,
oh my goodness,
I don't know, that'll never end. It was really discouraging. It cost us a lot of money. And some people moved out. So we had the
Why did canine unit came in?
They sniff out because it's a specialty. So they have canine units to sniff out bed bugs. Absolutely.
Seriously, I had no idea.
Yeah. They go right to the source, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's not
rodents
funny,
too.
You know, but
I guess rodents too. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that something you're still dealing with, or that's you've?
No, it's done. It's done. So then, what happened was, so now the building is half empty, so half the tenants left, and some of the units needed. And it's not a reno, heavy duty reno. It's more like cosmetic stuff, right? Like some of the ends of the countertops are either coming apart or chipped or whatever. So some of the bathrooms are tired, and we decided to do that. So we decided, we're going to renovate since they're empty. Let's improve the ones that are empty and then take it from there. So I'm actually going there next week. I'll be there all of next week. I'm leaving Friday.
That's exciting. Yeah. And where is that? What market is it in?
This one's in Moncton.
In Moncton, cool. Yeah. Okay.
It'll be the first time
I will see some updates on social media from you, Adele.
Oh, yes, that's right. I should. Yeah. Yes. So one is complete. And now you made me think I need to put that in my phone.
And hopefully you'll be able to increase rents, especially to the units that
to
are
market value. Yes, because they were very much under market value with heating included. So, that's another thing when you include heat and a place like Moncton where it's cold and tenants open the windows and then crank the heat because they want fresh air, but they want to be warm or leave on vacation in winter.
Yeah.
And leave the windows open. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you have like a property? Sorry. Do you have like a property manager or caretaker that lives on the property?
We have property managers. Yeah. In the provinces where I don't live, not in Montreal. I take care of the ones in Montreal. But in Ontario and New Brunswick, we have property managers. I'm so grateful for them. I mean,
Yeah.
property managers make all the difference in your business, right?
How would you find a good one? Like, what's the strategy?
Ah,
Any tips for
I've been
that?
through a few.
Yeah.
And in both provinces, actually, I've been through a couple. Actually, New Brunswick was more of a challenge, but we're happy now. We're good. It's difficult. It's not easy. It's one of those things where it's like seeing a CV and you think this is the ideal candidate, but then when you actually get them in, they're not quite what their CV said.
Oh,
It's the
yes.
It's just
same thing
trial
as
and
that.
error again. You just have to
Yeah.
test them out and see if it works.
Yeah, because the CVs look good, and it's all part of the game.
Yeah.
So you were in Ontario and New Brunswick, and are you in other markets? You
And
mentioned
so Ontario, yeah. So here in Montreal, where I live, and then Ontario and New Brunswick, and recently in Orlando, Florida.
yeah. Well, tell us a bit about that. Like, how did you start
So
getting into the US?
I'm
curious
so
about
excited
that.
about those because, well, Canada's getting difficult. I know where you guys are. It's you guys are still in a good position. PM and you don't get us started. Oh yes, Anna and I have talked a lot about that. You guys are still in a good market, lucky you. For us, it's getting difficult, right? There's, you go to a certain province, such as New Brunswick, where it was like, oh, this is the place to be, and we were lucky. We bought before the craziness, so I mean, we were cash flowing, like as I said before, we bought them. They were already cash flowing, even at the very low rates, rents. Sorry. And but then it just went absolutely nuts, and the prices skyrocketed, and it was just
Yeah.
getting out of hands. And of course, they changed the laws there too, right? It was more owner friendly, and then it became more tenant friendly, which is fine. I have no issue with protecting tenants' rights. It just makes it a little bit more difficult. And so that happens with every well, Ontario and Quebec are already difficult, as they've always been difficult. And BC, well, I can't afford anything in BC. I don't know anything about the middle of Canada. So it was like, do I navigate there? I thought about it, but I really don't know enough. And I like to know my markets. And then I'm like, okay, I think US is the place to be, right? And you can't go wrong with Disney. There's 100 million people a year that visit Disney. So why not bank on that a little bit? And we purchased their new construction. They're actually being built now. And they're side by side, a 6-bedroom and an 8-bedroom. So I'm looking forward to owning something that will give people, it's a place where families will make memories. I mean, it's completely different than multifamily apartment buildings, right? It's a whole other mindset. It just makes me happy thinking about it, because I'm like, they're going to make memories in our homes. So, yeah.
How come you decided not to go for a multifamily in the US and you did a single family?
Only because at this time I was like, I wanted to try something different. I never had a short term, and I wanted to try short term. And I think here in Canada, the thing with the short terms is, and I'm seeing it's happening, the same thing with the multifamily and the rents, right? It goes crazy in an area and the government follows with new rules, right? Then another area goes crazy and the government comes in with new rules. So I'm like, how long before, I buy a short term here in Canada and the government comes in with new rules? Because in Canada, in Montreal, it's very difficult. Short term rentals in the city.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Airbnbs and stuff. No, there's such a small little area where you could actually do that in Montreal. And in Orlando, because of Disney again, right? I mean, Disney's Disney's never going to go out of style. Yeah. So the multifamily, I don't know. I guess I'm bored with multifamily. Is that wrong to say that? It's just, I mean, they're there. They're not exciting. They're there. It's a long-term game, and you have them. You just watch them do their thing. It's not exciting. Like, it wears off after a while. Sure, when there's a problem, it's exciting, but
good investment, because you want your investments to be boring. But if you want to do something
it's
new,
not fun.
Yeah.
So that the short-term rental seemed fun. And I don't know, I thought about the multifamily in the US, but I also don't know. And I know you could partner up with people, and that happens a lot in our community. But I just thought, oh my gosh, where would I even look for a property manager? Where in the States? And there are a few states that I'm interested in for multifamily. I just don't know right now. I wanted to try short-term, and I wanted to try something prettier. So these homes are very pretty.
Yeah.
They're actually beautiful. Nice. Yeah.
It's going to be a very beautiful product at the end if it's new construction.
Yeah, now the challenge there is to furnish them. They're huge. Like, it's
Oh yeah,
well, 8 bedrooms, 6 bedrooms, and I think 5
bedroom.
baths and 6 baths. So that's a
Quite a
lot of
bit.
furniture.
Yeah. You know,
Hi, Sarah.
hi
Hi,
Sarah.
Sarah.
Adele, I guess the usual question that people ask, but I'm curious. You have so much experience in real estate, and if somebody just started in real estate, what would your recommendation be to them? How do they even decide what to invest in? Like, how do they start
To
based on your
start
years of
investing in,
experience?
well, I mean, besides, I talk about numbers all the time because it's all about the numbers. It's all about the numbers. So learn how to analyze, and I don't mean learn on your own, but reach out. There's communities now where the information is free. There's YouTube channels like ladies like yourselves that are so generous with your time and your knowledge, and they can reach out to podcasts, YouTube channels, books. Just follow people that are doing what you want to do, right? Don't reinvent the wheel. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. So learn how to analyze your numbers, but then go with what you're comfortable. If you're brand new, I personally don't think it would be smart for you to go buy a 12 unit. It's dip your feet in the water, start with a 2, a 3, a 4, something manageable that you could afford, but that you're comfortable with, that you can sleep at night, and learn with that one and then upgrade. Don't, because the thing is, if you start on something that you're not comfortable with, I mean, having said that, I do believe people should get out of their comfort zones.
Yeah, too extreme.
But not to the point where you're stressed out all the time because you bought something that you don't even understand and you don't know where to turn when something happens. So build a team after you educate yourself a little bit. Build a team. So get to know an accountant, a lawyer, a mortgage broker, property management companies. Start talking to people. Decide on which market. You can't be all over the place. So try to narrow it down. You can move around and expand once you've learned. Like I've expanded to other provinces when the one here didn't make sense anymore. But I had gained my experience already. So, I guess get a mentor even. Yeah.
So like focus and specialize in something then, right?
Yes, because I don't think, for example, having, I don't know, a 2, you want to do multifamily. You want to do short-term rental cottages. Do you want to do it? You can't be all over the place and lose focus. So try to specialize, find your niche, try to specialize in something, and then you just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, right? So like short-term rental for me is new, but I do have the experience in being a property owner of different sizes, and I know how to deal with the ins and outs of who's going to manage the property, because there too, right? There's a property manager. How do you deal with the property manager? It's so instead of me putting an ad for a tenant, it's going to be putting an ad on Airbnb for 1 week stay. The ad is a little bit different. The details are different, but the business is the same.
Assuming you're already building your team for the short-term rentals in Disney.
It's all done. Yes, that's all done. We did that before we went. So the entities were opened up before. We got our tax numbers and all that before we went. Spoke to property management companies and the lawyer, the cross-border lawyer, cross-border accountant, the whole team before we went. Then we planned the trip. We planned 6 days. And again, focus. We didn't go to the beach. We didn't even go to the pool that came with the house we were staying in.
No.
Well, because we had a limited amount of time and we wanted to see. So we visited like 5 different communities, and it was like, focus, focus, focus. We're here for this. And then and we did what we set out to do. And we went out to buy 1. We came back with 2. So that was, but again, know what you want. And if that might take people a little bit of time, right? Because, I just want to be a real estate investor. But what does that mean? What does that mean to you? Like there's 3 of us on the screen and we might have 3 completely different
strategies,
roads to get to where we want to go, right? That affects our family.
For each of us may be very different.
Absolutely. Yeah. But you have to want it badly enough, because I always say real estate investing is not passive. People who think it's passive, I have news for you. It's not passive. Well, private lending is, but I mean,
yeah, not when you're the one buying the property, and even when you have a property manager, right? It's not.
Of course, absolutely,
yeah. Adele, if you could write a book, what would it be about?
If I could write a book, not read a book, write a book. Oh, it's not gonna be real estate. Food, cooking.
It's gonna be food.
How to feed yourself. I think people nowadays with the cooking is an issue. And I always say, like, I wanna leave my job to have more time, not just because to leave the job I love. It's just more to change and have more freedom for my parents, my aging parents, my mother-in-law. And then I want for fun. I used to give cooking classes actually before COVID. And I just want to teach young kids how to feed themselves, how to buy groceries and feed themselves. Because I find nowadays it's the basics of life. How do anyway, to each his own.
Is it mostly Italian cuisine that you cook, or you
No,
cook?
I like different kinds of cuisine. Actually, my favorite cuisines are Thai and Indian. So.
Oh, yum.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah. Well, let us
Were
know.
you expecting a real estate book?
Sorry, well, I don't know. No, there was no restriction. I'm just curious, about you. So, yeah.
I love cooking. I cook every day when I come home from work. I just love it.
That's awesome. So, Adele, we're nearing the end of our usual lives, but what's one question that you wish we'd ask you, and how would you answer it?
Oh my goodness. Actually, your questions were very good. I was just thinking that before. She asked good questions. Oh boy. Maybe the ladies in the chat could type something in.
What's one question you get a lot?
One question I get a lot. Where did you start, actually? What are good markets in Canada to invest in? Oh, goodness. Good markets in Canada.
She's
Did you not hear I moved to the US? These ladies live in central Canada, so they're in Edmonton. And are you guys both in Edmonton?
Yeah, we're both in Edmonton.
Yeah, your market is still good.
I'd say Alberta and Saskatchewan.
Yeah, the center of Canada right now. Forget the east and the west, and just the middle. Although I think, there's still some good investment properties in the east. Anna just touched on something. Mm-hmm. Because I'm a big appreciation person. Like, it's cash flow, yes, for the reasons I told you earlier. The building has to pay its own bills. It has to be self-sustained. But at the end of the day, I won't go anywhere where there's no appreciation, or if it's going to take me 25 years to gain, I don't know, $50,000. But you ladies are a lot younger than I am, but I'm in my mid 50s and I don't want to wait 20 years to appreciate, a little bit of money. So it all depends where you are in life. So I tend to go into markets where appreciation is quicker, but you can't bank on that. Having said that, you can't bank on appreciation. And a good point. Rent control. Yes.
Yeah.
But I've done very well. Yeah. But I've done very well in provinces with very strict rent controls. So that's here or there, depends on so your markets, reach out to realtors and do your homework, get on the MLS or realtor.ca and look at different places, and then run the numbers. It's nothing can happen in real estate if you don't run the numbers.
Do you use any special software for that, or
no? I use Excel. I have an Excel spreadsheet and use Excel. Yeah. But everything gets plugged in, like the worst case scenario, right? So if property management fee is between 5 and 10, plug in 10. Mm-hmm. Maintenance is going to be, it's a new building, there won't be any maintenance, plug in 5. You have to, right? Because the bank is going to put in the number in that spot.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So put in the number. Yeah. And if you think it's going to be, I don't know, something stupid, like what else is there? For example, water, sewer. We don't pay water here in Quebec. With the water consumption, it's not a thing we pay. So when I started venturing out of Quebec, I'm like, what? I have to pay for water consumption? What is that? So make sure you know what that province has as expenses, right? Yeah. Residential realtors don't understand investing. That's another thing. The realtors that
I agree.
As we've all learned.
Yeah, investor focused. Yeah.
But find follow YouTube channels that are very forthcoming with their information, podcasts, books, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You ladies have been doing great. My goodness, your growth has been so impressive. So
Thank you.
A perfect channel to follow and listen to.
Thank
Well,
you.
on that note, for you, like if people want to follow you, where is the best place to do that?
I'm on Facebook, Adele Dig, and on Instagram, Adele Real Estate Investor. I don't even remember. I should have checked that before. Instagram and Facebook. Yes. And Ilona, yes, I will be updating the 24 units on Facebook next week.
I'm like looking forward to hearing more about it and what the units turn out like.
I've never even seen it. It's a monster of a building, and we bought it in 2020, and I've never seen it.
See, this is amazing. This is what's possible in real estate. Buy a property and not ever see it, or see it like years after. It's
video walkthroughs, yes, yeah. But
Yeah,
no,
not in
well, the
person.
ones in Ontario I've never seen. Oh, mind you, I saw them last year. I shouldn't say that. Yes, but not when I purchased them. And the ones in
yeah, as long as you trust your team, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And do you have any final thoughts, Adele?
For the people starting, I just want to say, I was talking earlier about your comfort zone, but just venture out a little bit, like get uncomfortable a little bit and learn something new, because that's something you can take you to, it's like infinity and beyond. It was that Buzz Lightyear or something.
Yeah.
And it can take you in directions that you never thought possible. And with real estate, the beautiful thing is, if you're buying, an example, $1 million property, you only have to come up with $250,000. You're leveraging the bank's money, but you're growing your net worth, right? It's like, what other area can you do that besides real estate?
Yeah.
So if you're going to put, 50,000 in RSPs, you need to have the 50,000 to put into the RSPs, but you don't have to have the $1 million to buy $1 million property. So get out of your comfort zone. Start looking at what it is that you can afford. Start getting comfortable with, crunching the numbers and talking to people so that you can build relationships and get going like so many of us have, right? We weren't just born having real estate knowledge, right? We all
No, that's so true.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
But there's so much information now, like more than ever, right? So
that's the tricky part, actually, I find. That's a little bit tricky. So, when you see the same names keep coming up and you know that they're credible, stick with those people, right? And follow them and listen to what they're saying. Don't just listen to listen. Pick a few good podcasts and a few good YouTube channels and stick with them.
And yes, I agree. Thanks, Adele, so much for your time, for coming on. I know you have your family barbecue, so we're not going to keep you away from food and your loved ones, but we really appreciate you. We like what we see when you post content and when you comment on things. So we really a huge respect to you. And thanks so much for coming on.
Ladies, I just want to say, first of all, thank you. But I admire the both of you very much. You've done very well. And you are hardworking young ladies, which is another thing. Don't be afraid to do the work, right? And here's the proof what success comes when you do the work and put in the time. So bravo to you two. Hats off and continue what you're doing. I love watching your journeys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adele. Thanks everybody who joined us. Bye.
Yeah.